17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
Play on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about the US Marshals selling a motorcycle clubhouse. And why is that? What's the reason they're selling a motorcycle clubhouse? Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We got a lot of content to bring you guys. I can't wait to show you what I've been working on. Joe Blunts, how you doing? What's going on? Thanks for joining me this afternoon. I appreciate you. Got 9 people in the building. Make sure you hit the like button. Share this video. Tell a friend to tell a friend. So today, we're talking about the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club. We're going to talk a little bit about their history and why are the feds selling a motorcycle clubhouse? You might be wondering that. So Kentucky is where this club comes from. This is their back patch. And this is the clubhouse. So the former Grim Reapers Motorcycle Clubhouse building is up for sale by the US Marshals in Evansville, Indiana. Former home of the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club is up for sale. According to online listing, you can purchase the building for $140,000. The property is a U.S. Marshals asset, which are sold as is. Back in 2023, 15 members of the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club were sentenced to more than 155 years in federal prison collectively for meth trafficking, gun-related offenses, authorities said. The building is 3,460 square feet, and it was built in 1950. So, damn, they were sentenced to a whole lot of time in prison. Let's check the background of this club and see where did things go wrong for them. So the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club were founded in 1965 in Louisville, Kentucky. They have a three-piece patch. The motorcycle club is considered an outlaw club and is not sanctioned by the American Motorcycle Association. And they do not abide by the AMA rules. Instead, the Grim Reapers have their own set of bylaws based on the values of outlaw biker culture. In 1970, the club provided security for Kickapoo Creek Rock Festival held on Memorial Day weekend in 1970 in Haywood, Illinois. The Grim Reapers take the name from the symbol personification of death. The Grim Reaper club name is emblazoned on the top rocker of their three-piece patch. The center patch is a Grim Reaper in red holding a sickle, referred to as the Ghost. The territory of the chapters operate appear on the bottom rocker of the MC patch appears right of the Ghost. When facing the cut also features a triangular front patch depicting a sickle over the club's initials, with one letter of the MC's motto, FTW, in each corner of the triangle. Grim Reaper's members conduct operations are governed by their bylaws. In order to qualify for membership, you must be white male, at least 18 years or over, own an American-made motorcycle at least 1,000 cc's, usually Harley-Davidson. Drug addicts are forbidden from joining the club. Prospective members must serve probationary period or a prospect, during which time they are subjected to intense physical and psychological punishment in order to prove that you are not a member of law enforcement. Prospects may be required to commit crimes to provide information for the next of kin. Members are required to attend 2 mandatory national runs and 2 regional runs each year. After 3 years of membership, club members are entitled to a Grim Reaper tattoo on their arm. So they have to be in the club for at least 3 years to get a tattoo. And after 8 years in the club, they can get a back tattoo. Club members pay a 10% of any profits made from illegal activity into their chapter's treasury, or road tax. The money is split between national, regional, and chapter treasuries. The club's membership has varied in sizes from 70 to 200 members. Now let's talk about the case that winded them all up in prison. So it says that they cannot be any drug addicts in the club. So members of the Evansville Motorcycle Club were sentenced to 155 plus years collectively for meth trafficking and gun crimes. This was in 2023. 15 members of the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club have been sentenced to a collective 155 plus years in federal prison for gun-related and meth trafficking, authorities said. Officials with the United States Attorney's Office, Southern District of Indiana, announced they say the 37-year-old Jesse Watson of Evansville was sentenced to 8 years in prison as the last of 15 members of a large-scale meth trafficking ring based in Evansville. The main source of the meth for the operation was 31-year-old Central Holman, the 5th of Evansboro. And the ringleader were 42-year-old Jason Watson and Kyle Watson, both of Evansville, according to authorities. The investigation leading to prison sentences starting in 2019. One of the main locations used to distribute and receive money for the drugs was the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Clubhouse, located on East Diamond Avenue in Evansville. The members of the conspiracy will spend many years in federal prison for pumping large quantities of methamphetamine into the streets, said Zachary Myers, United States Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana. Methamphetamines used devastate so many families and kill hundreds of people each year. That's why we will work with our federal, state, and local authorities partnership to dismantle armed organization trafficking and deadly drugs. The sentences imposed in this case demonstrate our commitment to protecting the public from the dangerous criminals. All 15 defendants have been sentenced as following. Central Holman was conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine, 21 years in prison, 5 years supervised release. So he's basically has 26 years. Gary Wayne, 42, of Evansville, conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine, felon in possession of a firearm, possession with intent to distribute, and distribution. He got 16 years in prison, 5 years supervised release. Jason Kyle, 45. Jason Kyle Wilson, 45, conspiracy to distribute, possession with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm, furnishing a drug trafficking crime, felon in possession of a firearm. He got 18 years in prison and 5 years supervised release. Adam Lafferty, conspiracy to distribute. He got 10 years in prison, 5 years supervised release. Shane Lewis, conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine, providing a firearm to a prohibited person. He got 2.5 years in prison, 5 years supervised release. James Brenton, conspiracy to distribute, 5 years in prison, 3 years supervised release. Brian Eden, conspiracy to distribute, possession with intent to distribute, 2.5 years and 5 years supervised release. Paul Overby, conspiracy to distribute and distribution, 15 years in prison, 7 years supervised release. I think the longer you get supervised release, the worse it is, because they have you like hook, line, and sinker. They have you until the end of your supervised release. Kimberly Wilson, conspiracy to distribute, 7.25 years, 5 years supervised release. Jesse Wilson, 37. He was sentenced to 8 years and 3 years supervised release. Matthew Meredith Evansville, 43 years old, conspiracy to distribute, 11 years, 5 years supervised release. Clarence Grubbs, 51 years old, conspiracy to distribute, 16 years in prison, 5 years supervised release. Daniel Wiscarver, conspiracy to distribute, time served, 3 years supervised release. He got time served. So damn, you know who's telling, right? He got time served. April Martin, conspiracy, 3 years in prison, 2 years supervised release. Derek Sander, 51, time served, 3 years supervised release. I mean, it's crazy. And then the cops will take a hold of the clubhouse and sell it. It's just insane. See who else we got here. Joe Blunts, Mountain Woman, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Richard Nixon, what's going on? Rah, how are you? Maureen, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for piling in. We got 31 people in the house. Make sure you hit the like button. So the criminal allegations with this club. The Grim Reapers are considered by law enforcement to be many second tier after the big four outlaw motorcycle clubs. Members are involved in drug distribution, motorcycle theft, money laundering, mail fraud, firearms violation. The Grim Reapers are allied with the outlaws and have alleged ties with the Ku Klux Klan and the state militia groups. Damn. Grim Reapers formed a chapter in Warwick County, Indiana in the mid-70s, eventually established a clubhouse in the former antique shop on State Street in Newburgh. Due to restrictions on building occupancy put in place by local authorities, the club moved its headquarters to riverfront premises in downtown Newburgh. After fielding complaints about the Grim Reapers from local residents, the sheriff's office raided the clubhouse along with officers from Newburgh and Indiana State Police. In September of 1981, a small amount of marijuana and 87 cans of beer and several weapons were confiscated. Damn, they counted the beer back then. 187 cans of beer were confiscated. About 15 Grim Reapers were arrested, although charges were ultimately dropped against all but 2 of the bikers. The club sold the Newburgh Clubhouse in June of 82 and relocated to Evansville, where it purchased the house on Indiana Street. In June of 83, the Evansville Grim Reaper chapter continued to operate on the property until September 2017, when it relocated to the former Exotic She Lounge on East Diamond Avenue. On August 21st, 1983, the Grim Reaper's members Stephen Earl Thompson was stabbed to death in a fight behind the Red Gardner Tavern in Evansville after he had shot a man in the foot. His funeral on August 23rd, 1983 was attended by around 200 members of the Grim Reapers and the Outlaws. In 1999, charges were brought against 18 members of the club, including the national president, as part of a 4-year Operation Iron Horse. The state and federal investigation under the Racketeering, Corrupt, and Influence Act, or RICO, in motorcycle clubs in the Midwest of the United States. 18 defendants were indicted for selling drugs and dealing stolen motorcycles. The Grim Reapers had purchased 120 kilograms of cocaine worth around $3 million from 1988 to 1998. Insane. Hey, Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me today. Make sure you guys hit the like button. So, in other news, hold on, let me play the newscast for this situation, and then we'll get to the other news.
Building once used by a motorcycle club in Evansville is now up for sale.
The former Grim Reapers headquarters was seized by the federal government and is being sold through the US Marshals Service. The building in the 1100 block of East Diamond Avenue is listed for $140,000. In 2019, the building was searched as part of a drug trafficking investigation. Last year, more than a dozen members of the Grim Reapers were sentenced to time in federal prison.
The former home of the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club is up for sale. According to an online listing, you can purchase that building.
Yeah, don't worry about the door where the cops busted in. That's no big deal. The plywood, don't worry about that.
And purchase that building for $140,000. Back in 2023, 15 members of the Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club were sentenced to more than 155 years in federal prison for meth trafficking and gun-related offenses.
Make sure you subscribe, share the content, and comment. I appreciate all you guys. So in other news, there was a shooting in Daytona Beach over this spring break. 2 people were shot and sent people scattering on the beach. Let's take a look at that newscast.
Tonight out of Daytona Beach, where 2 people are hurt following a shooting. Good evening and thanks for joining us here on West 2 News. I'm Luana Munoz. This all unfolded near the boardwalk. That's where we find West 2's David Jones tonight. And David, this is all.
Yeah, Luana, but you wouldn't know it because the police have done a pretty good job of making sure this area is cleared out. A police cruiser just arrived here and is on scene behind me. We're standing on the boardwalk behind the Wyndham. This is off just about a block north of Aura Street in Daytona Beach. This is where police say that shooting broke out earlier this evening. We've been speaking with some folks who have been staying here at the resort. They say that they actually saw the shooting unfold and took a video. Let's take a listen now.
For anyone to be shooting that much while there's people on the beach, it's just reckless as hell. Like, what's wrong with people?
And police confirming 2 people were injured in a shooting here along the boardwalk again in Daytona Beach. Police notified the public of this shooting just after 9 o'clock this evening. They say the 2 people injured in this shooting received non-life-threatening injuries during the shooting. It has been a mass of people out here all night as spring break festivities have continued. A mass of people as well gathered here behind the Wyndham Resort along Daytona Beach. We have reached out to the Daytona Beach Police to ask about this shooting, about where they are in their investigation. It is in its very early stages, and whether they have any suspects in custody. They have remained tight-lipped, only reaffirming again that this is an active investigation. Let's take a listen now to what one person said who is actually staying here at the resort.
And then I was just filming the whole beach just to send to the family through my iPhone. And then as I was filming down here, we thought we heard firecrackers, but it turned out to be some gunshots. Honestly, I feel like everyone just wants to have a good time, and unfortunately, you got some people who have other ideas.
And as we've been out here, we have just seen a mass of folks, mostly young kids, teenagers, amassed out here, very aware of the situation unfolding. But again, Daytona Beach Police have done a very good job of clearing out this scene, giving themselves room to investigate, but they have removed the ropes here along the boardwalk and reopened it to the public. We will stay on top of this, of course, and bring you any new details as we gather them.
And here is a live look at the coast in New Smyrna Beach.
It's crazy. Crazy situation. Like, why would you bring some drama over there? People are trying to have a good time on spring break. It's just craziness. In other news, accused Tren de Aragua gang members were deported to El Salvador to get harsh reception. They were met at that prison that holds them, pushes their head down and puts them in these cages. They're housed like animals. They have to lay on steel bunks. I would never want to go there. The U.S. deported more than 250 alleged gang members to El Salvador this weekend. A video posted to social media shows the harsh reception they received when they entered the Central American country. Salvadorian officials said the detainees include 238 Venezuelan who are members of Tren de Aragua, as well as 23 members of MS-13. They were immediately transferred to a terrorism confinement center where they are scheduled to stay for at least 1 year under an agreement between the U.S. and El Salvador worth $6 million. In the footage, shackled prisoners are seen stumbling forward as heavily armed officers push them along. Detainees' wrists and ankles were tightly bound, forcing them to shuffle in short, restricted steps. On the tarmac, riot police stand shoulder to shoulder, gripping their batons as a helicopter hovered overhead, scanning for disturbances. The men are loaded onto nearby, one by one, onto special units and military buses. Heads are forced down by officers to keep them under strict control. Sirens blare as the convoy of armed vehicles escorted special forces transport migrants to the mega prison known as ECCOT. Same facility where El Salvador's government has locked up tens of thousands gang members in recent years. Inside the prison walls, heads are shaved in assembly line fashion while guards bark orders. Cameras also capture moments that they are dressed in white prison uniforms before they are marched, hands behind their back, into tightly packed holding cells. They are screwed. The transfer of migrant detainees comes as Trump administration is trying to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport members of Trinidad, which the State Department has designated them a terrorist organization. The strategy faced immediate legal challenges when federal judge in Washington called for planes to be returned while the issue was settled in court. The White House said the migrant detainees were in an international airspace at the time of the ruling. Man, these judges keep trying to block everything that Trump is doing. It's insane. But it ain't gonna work. Larry, how are you? Thank you for joining us today. So in other news, in Queensland, police have charged an alleged member of the Mongols outlaw motorcycle gang with extortion, stalking, and assaulting an Ardell man over the past 4 months. It will be alleged in October 2024, 31-year-old Pamplona man supplied 31-year-old Ardell man, who was known to him with a significant quantity of cocaine and instructed him to sell it. The Ardell man refused to return the cocaine. It will be alleged that Pamplona man demanded $15,000 in payment, claiming that the drugs had not been returned, before threatening an assault on the man. The man then paid the Pamplona man $16,000, at which point the Pamplona man instructed him that the debt was increased to $25,000. The Pamplona man allegedly stalked the man over the coming weeks. It is alleged that around 10 p.m. January 25th, the man that was owing the money was at a gaming room in Wickham Street when he was approached by the man and punched. The man then fled. That matter was reported to police February 8th. Following investigation, police, a 31-year-old Pamplona man was intercepted while riding a motorcycle on the Pacific Motorway Service Road the next day, February 9th. He was arrested and transported to a watch house where police bail was refused. A search warrant subsequent executed at his residence of the Pamplona man, where Mongols paraphernalia was allegedly located. The 31-year-old Pamplona man has now been charged with 1 count each of extortion, unlawful stalking, and common assault. He is scheduled to appear in court Monday, February 10th. And that already happened. So, hey, what's going on? Mark, hi, Bill. Can a federal judge on foreign affairs? I don't think they have much power. No, it's insane. All these lower level judges are trying to put in all these claims. You can't do that against the president. Are you kidding? You hold no power in the federal system. These judges are insane. They're trying to flex their power. They don't have none. They ain't gonna go nowhere with none of it. Did you see that they were trying to schedule something to do with fentanyl, right? Like they mess around with the agents and they try to have it snuck into the country, and then if they get caught, they change the compounds in it, so it's not specifically that. So the law changed to where if you get caught with the agents that they're sneaking in, you'll get the same time as if it's fentanyl. And all these Democrats, 16 of them, voted against the bill. It shows you who's really on the American people's side. And it's not the Democrats. Them people want to destroy this country. And they don't care. but it won't happen. But anyway, there's a lot of content I got. There's so many shows I have lined up. A lot of new interviews are going to be dropping, so stay tuned for that. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch this show. Make sure you go check out this book, Prison Politics 101. And you could learn about prison. If you've never been there and you have to go to prison, this is a great book to read. And your boy Bill Staxx is featured in this book. I told some stories. I gave some advice. So go check out this book. It's on Amazon. I appreciate all you guys. I think I'm getting a cold. Seems like the last cold never left. I'm already sick again. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys. I hope you have a great day. And if you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, start your own fucking podcast. And remember, don't be a bitch. Peace. Or a Democrat.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.